Hi, third graders and third grade families. This is Miss Whitford, and I just want to do a quick review of comparing fractions. So we've talked about already comparing fractions with the same denominator and the same numerator. I'm just going to show you the difference between both. So let's say we're looking at this one. Actually, you know what? We're going to look at this one, 1/4 and 3/4. I like that one. It's a little friendlier. So there's two ways that you can think about comparing this. So the first thing that you could do, you can draw a picture, okay? And since I know that I'm comparing fourths, I want to break this into fourths. And I can even draw two figures and break both of them into the same amount of pieces. And then I just want to compare both of the fractions to see which one has more covered up. Okay, so for this one, if I'm going to be shading, if I'm looking at 1/4, I am going to look at just one of 4 equal pieces. But for this one, I'm looking at 3/4, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 equal pieces. From that, you can clearly see that 3/4 is greater than 1/4. And if that's the case, we have the alligator mouth opening up this way to show that it is the greater fraction. Another thing that you can do, if you like a little bit better, is look at a number line when you're comparing. So if I do a number line, a fraction number line, and I break it into fourths, 0 and 1, and I have, this is halfway between, this is 1/2, and then I'm going to, oh, actually, hold on, I don't want to call that 1/2 yet. Sorry, not yet. And then I'm going to break each one in half. So now that I have 4 equal spaces, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 1/4, 2/4, which is equivalent to 1/2, by the way, 3/4, and we have 4/4, which is also equivalent to 1/2. And then I just want to plot both of the points. This is 1/4, this is 3/4. If I was starting at 0 and I wanted to get to 1/4, it would take me 1 jump. But if I was starting at 0 and I wanted to get to 3/4, it would take me 1, 2, 3 jumps, which is again why 3/4 is larger than 1/4. All right, so we'll also take a look at comparing fractions with the same numerator. There is a little trick to figuring it out, but the easiest thing to do is if you, the easiest thing to do is there we go, okay. Is just to, if you're not sure, is to draw it out, okay? So let's take a look at this one, 4/5 and 4/8. Okay, so two things that I could do here. Actually, I want to look at comparing same numerator. No, just one of them is same numerator. Okay, let's actually look, I'm going to look at a different one. We are going to look at comparing, let's do 2/6 and let's do 2/3, okay? So you can see over here, same numerator. This one has a larger denominator, this one has a smaller denominator, but when you're comparing, it actually is like a little bit opposite. I'll show you what I mean, okay? So I have the, easiest thing to do is to make 2 figures that are exactly the same size, and then I'm gonna break this one up into 6, down the middle and across, 6 equal pieces. This one I'm only going to break into thirds. Okay, like that. Best I can do. You want it to try and be as even as you can, just the best that you can do. Okay, so if the numerators are the same, well, actually, let's just shade some in. So this one I'm going to shade in 2/6. All right, but this one I want to shade in 2/3. From this, you can clearly see this has way more shaded in, which is why 2/3 is greater than 2/6. Another way to think of that, because we read a book called The Lion's Share, the more people that you have to share something with, the less each piece is going to be. If you think about eating a pizza, if it's just you and your friend eating a pizza, you guys can have really big pieces. But if you're having a pizza and it's you and your friend and then your friends, like 8 other friends, your pieces are going to have to be a lot smaller. So if the numerator is the same, then it is going to be the smaller denominator is actually the bigger fraction. You can look at it with number lines as well, very similar. Let's look at 1/4 and 1/8, okay? If I'm looking at this with number lines, what I want to do is draw 2 number lines that are exactly the same size. Okay, number line, they are exactly the same size. This is 0, this is 1, get in a little bit here. This is 0, this is 1. Okay, the first one I'm going to be breaking up into fourths. So fourths, 1 in the middle, and then break that up. This one I'm going to be breaking up into eighths. 1 in the middle, break that in half, and then break these ones in half. You want to make sure they're the same size and you have the same lines going that are going to be like the same size. Like if you had the lines like different spaces, it's not going to work. All right, so if I'm looking at this, this is 1/4, this is 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And if I'm looking at this one, it is going to be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, all the way to 8/8. Look at that. Some equivalent fractions here. 1/4 and 2/8 are equivalent. Just a little fun. Okay. So if I'm looking at 1/4, here is 1/4. I'm looking at 1/8, here is 1/8. You want to look to see which one is closer to 0. The one that's closer to 0 is going to be the smaller fraction. So that means that 1/8 is going to be smaller. So I would compare then by saying 1/4 is greater than 1/8. There you go. A little review of comparing fractions.